Shalom, more praise the Yahweh Shemi Shah, double lines the apostles GMS. This is Amna Allah coming at you on the video. In this video, we're focusing on Galatians, the 5th chapter and the 17th verse. Well, I'm going to start off with this verse, but I'm mainly just going into a particular topic about, being weak in the spirit. Everything don't got to be every show don't got to be like a deep breakdown or something dealing with history, because the scriptures cover an array of different topics, So, let's get to this. Galatians 5 and 17. For the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh, and these are contrary the one to the other, so that you cannot do the things that you would. Now let's look at the word lusteth. So the flesh lusteth against the spirit.
Strong's G, 1937. Epithumeo.
Epithumeo. To turn upon the thing, to have a desire for, long for, to desire, to lust after covet of those who seek things forbidden, to fix the desire upon. So it says, of those who seek things forbidden. So the flesh lusteth against the spirit. So the flesh is seeking things that the spirit would forbid. And the flesh is that, let me get to that real quick. It's sarx in the Greek. It says the flesh denotes mere human nature, the earthly nature of man apart from divine influence, and therefore prone to sin and opposed to the Most High. Sarx.
Strong's G, 4561. Sarx.
Yep. So the flesh lusteth against the spirit. So the flesh lusteth, or it desires those things which are forbidden by the spirit. The flesh represents the earthly nature of man that's opposite or opposed to divine influence, therefore prone to sin. And we know what the spirit represents Galatians 5:22, but the fruit of the spirit is love, joy, peace, long suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. And it gives you a list of the things of the flesh too. That was Galatians 5:22. You go to Galatians 5:19, that the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of the Most High. So the flesh lusteth against the spirit. So the flesh desires those things which the spirit would forbid. And it says these are contrary one to another. When something is contrary, I don't even got to read it. We already know what it is. Contrary means the opposite. I don't even got to go to the Greek there. So they're contrary, they're opposite one to another. So that you cannot do the things, the opposite one to the other, so that you cannot do the things which you would. So since the flesh and the spirit are constantly at war, you don't always do the things which you would. And basically this topic is, about being weak in the spirit. So you have to understand that the flesh and the spirit are constantly against each other. The flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. So they're constantly going against one another. The spirit wants the things that the flesh don't want, but the flesh wants the things that the spirit don't want. This is Galatians 6 and 10. Finally, my brethren, as a matter of fact, I'm going to read this. Galatians 6 and 10. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. See, you got to be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. So it's not of your own. It's of the Most High. This is what happens when you're weak in the spirit. You got to understand that it's the might and power of Yahweh Shemi Shah. It's not your own. So you got to call upon the Most High in the name of his Son to build your spirit up when you're weak. Whatever it is that you feel is, you know yourself. You should know yourself in this truth. Understand what your strengths are, understand what your weaknesses are, understand what it is that you have to abstain from in order to place more focus on the word. You got to understand that. And you have to understand that when you continuously delve into those things, that's the flesh lusting against the spirit. And that's you giving in to the lust of the flesh. Because if you know these particular things are not good for you, then why is that you continually seek it? Why is that? Ask yourself that question. Why is that you are continuously seeking these things that you know is of the flesh, and it is prohibiting you to do the things that the spirit desires? But it says, finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. So it's the might of the Most High. And when you read this chapter, it speaks about, the helmet and the sword, which is the word. I'm not going to go into it, but due to the interest of time, I don't want the video to be too long. And I'm about to head out, to the camp. But I'm just, using this as an example. Using that particular scripture as an example when it says, and in the power of his might. And we know the Lord's might is what? This word. So that's how you stay strong in the Lord. Through the word, man. So if you are battling spirits, then you have to examine yourself. So once again, these things are more than just about deep breakdowns and going into the history and going into the Hebrew and the Greek. Yeah, all that's cool. That's good. That's great. But the main thing in his truth is faith. That's the main thing. That's what's going to save you. No matter how many breakdowns you know, how much history you know, how many laws you know, doesn't matter. It all is faith. And if you're feeling weak in the spirit, you got to examine yourself. You got to look inside yourself and ask, what are you doing less? What are you doing less of that you need to do more? And what are you doing more of that you need to do less? Or not at all? You understand? So you got to know yourself. You got to ask yourself these questions. You know what I'm saying? You got to ponder upon these things. That's the mentality of a spirit. That's what it means to be spiritual. And I'm going to do a show on that, Lord willing. What does that mean to be spiritual? And comprise a bunch of scriptures to go into that. Because these are things that has to be understood. Proverbs 3:1. My son, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments. For length of days and long life and peace shall they add to thee. Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them upon thy neck and write them upon the table of thine heart. See, it's talking about his laws, commandments, right? So shalt thou find favor and good understanding in the sight of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua and man. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not unto thine own understanding. No, so you got to stay with the Most High, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua's understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Be not wise in thy own eyes, fear the Lord and depart from evil. That goes back to the last scripture where it said, be strong in the Lord and the power of his might. So his might is this word. So this is what we have to bind upon our neck and write upon the table of our heart, meaning our mind. We got to continually keep the Lord's word within us. When you're spiritual, you're always thinking about, the law of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. You're always thinking about, spiritual the way you're supposed to conduct yourself. You're always thinking about that because you don't want to go off. You basically become programmed. It's like a person that's always playing basketball all the time. And sometimes you see them just dribbling an imaginary basketball. You see them, shooting an imaginary jump shot. A person that's always boxing. And sometimes you just see them walking down the street shadow boxing sometimes. You see them, how they moving their arms, how they moving their head. You see them dipping, bobbing, and weaving. Because they into it a lot. They into it. So it's like their mind is programmed to be fixated upon that. But that's how you're supposed to be with this word. So if you get weak in the spirit, you got to ask yourself a question. Are you even spending enough time paying attention to the word of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua? Probably not. More than likely you're not. And you can't be proud. You have to acknowledge that and you have to accept that. Because that's the first step of being able to improve, to being able to get better. You got to accept whatever flaws it is that you have. When I say accept the flaws you have, meaning you got to acknowledge that the flaws are there so that you can make improvements and get rid of it and get rid of them. Okay? And become the person that Yahweh Bashem Yahushua wants you to be. Lord will, you are part of the elect. Matthew 26 verse 41. Watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. Yeah, watch and pray that you don't enter into temptation. Look at that word, temptation.
Strong's G 3986. Pyrosmas.
Parasmas. Sorry. An enticement to sin, temptation, whether arising from the desires or from the outward circumstances. In other words, desires within you or the circumstances that's around you. Rebellion against the Most High, by which his power and justice are, as it were, put to the proof and challenge to show themselves. So see, rebellion against the Most High, by which his power and justice are, as it were, put to proof and challenge to show themselves. So the Most High put you through different challenges. Sometimes you go through temptations, but you're supposed to do what? You're supposed to conquer that through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shah, because you're being challenged to show yourself whether you truly be in the faith. You know? You're being challenged to show yourself, to show to Yahweh Shem Shah whether you're truly spiritual and whether you're truly fixated upon his word and said enticement to sin. Okay? Thought I saw something else. Adversity, affliction, trouble, sent by the Most High and serving to test or prove one's character, faith, holiness. So sometimes the Most High going to send these things to test your character. And that's going to make you stronger. Lord, will you overcome it? Watch and pray. Meaning watch, you got to watch. You watching for what? Current events. You may say, well, wait a minute, watch for current events. Like, what does that mean? You got to watch to see the signs that the Lord's coming. Matthew 24 chapter explains you the signs of the Lord coming. Wars and rumors of wars, earthquakes in diverse places. Watch and pray. We know what that means, to pray. To ask of the Most High in the name of his Son. The Most High's name is Yahweh, his Son's name is Yahweh Shah. That ye enter not into temptation. That you don't enter into them temptations. That you don't enter into those enticements of sin. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. See, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. A willing spirit would acknowledge that the flesh is weak, because if your spirit is willing, you'll watch and you'll pray. That you won't enter into temptation, because you're acknowledging that your flesh is weak. And you're acknowledging that being that the flesh is weak, you are therefore prone to sin. So if you watch and you pray to increase your faith, you won't fall into them temptations. So the spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak, because the willing spirit would acknowledge that the flesh is weak, and you will watch and you will pray, so that you are not don't become victim to the temptations of the flesh. So with that, I'm gonna close. I'm gonna say all praise to Yahweh Shem Shah, the balance, the apostles, GMS. I hope I've done something. Shalom.